Yeah.
Hi everyone, we're just a small group, so if you can, we'd love you to click your video on, but keep your mic on mute if you can. Thanks so much. Always good to see people driving. How are you, Anthony? Rod, have we got anyone else coming in?
Yeah, Jen's just about to come in now. She's got the link, so she'll just join soon. Hi everyone, I'm the one who keeps sending emails to you all the time, just so you can put a face to the email trail. I'm Rod Mancaro.
And Leanne, can you see us okay? We can't see you yet, but hoping you're there and all right. So Rod, are we waiting on anyone else, or are you happy for me to make a start?
I think make a start, and we can just add anyone else as they come in.
Okay.
Just a reminder, everyone, that we are recording this, and that's solely to be able to put up on the website for anyone who was unable to attend. I'll hand across to you, Lisa Jane, just to get us started.
No worries. Well, I know a couple of you, but my name's Lisa Jane. I'm president of Educators SA, and on behalf of them, so pleased to have you here this afternoon for our Mentor Ed information session. Lovely to see you, Leanne.
Sorry,
no.
I was having audio trouble. I'm here. Thank you.
Don't be sorry. Zoom and technology is always a wondrous thing. Look,
Lisa Jane, can you hear me? Yes, you can.
Yeah, gotcha,
I'm just trying to work out where my microphone is to turn off.
No, you're all right. Small group, unless you've got some kind of building going on next door, we're usually okay in a small group. So thank you so much for making your time. As I said, this is a really important session for us in terms of our Mentor Ed program. Just to begin, as always, just acknowledge that all of us are on traditional lands, but I'm coming to you from the traditional lands of the Kaurna people this afternoon. And I guess I'd encourage you to and love to hear whose lands you're on, because I know Holly and Freddie in particular are in a very different place. But as always, we pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging. And as educators, acknowledge our special responsibility in ensuring positive and successful future pathways for the Indigenous learners that we live and learn with as well. So just a couple of housekeepings that I'm going to get out of the way. Rod's already let you know that the session's being recorded just so we can put it up on the website. If you've got any questions, we're a fairly small group, so if you just use one of the gesture indicators, we can probably get to you. But also feel free to add something into the chat box, because that's a great way of us keeping a record of those as well. Educators SA, I know a couple of you know about us, but we're just the peak body for 62 professional associations in South Australia. So this huge connected network of about 15,000 educators. And this mentoring program has come up because we've been lucky enough to be engaging with the early career pre-service community. And in a couple of different settings, they've told us how significant mentoring is to them. They've also told us that they appreciate the mentoring that they get through their formal employer, but that often it doesn't meet their really expectations, in that they want more and they'd really like to connect with other educators to be able to continue to build and grow their expertise. So Mentor Ed really came out from us listening to our early career educators and trying to put in place something that would support them. And I guess it's interesting, in the holidays, we had 120 early career pre-service teachers there. And one of the things they really strongly told us was that mentoring was something that they felt, particularly in the early career space, was something that would keep them in teaching, keep them going when things were getting tough, as they always do when we, take on a new role and take on new responsibilities. And they also told us that it's that connection to community that really matters. Having someone else who has walked in your shoes and walked in your pathways before, who's happy to walk alongside you. And I think the other thing that's really important is that for people who've been mentors before, they were also telling us that it's, in this relationship, it is an equal partnership, mentor-mentee. It's about living and learning together. And so that this was really a professional opportunity that we thought we would like seeing offered through our organisation. So that's why Rod and I are here, and why Rod's been persistent in following you up with emails and really trying to encourage you to get involved. I'm going to hand over to Holly Brailsford in a minute, who's actually facilitating this afternoon's presentation, to give you an understanding of the Approach platform. And I guess why we ask you to have this conversation first. Holly's the co-founder and CEO of Brancher. She's an organisational psychologist with more than 10 years experience in HR. And I know Rod and I have been lucky enough to chat with Holly and her compatriot Freddie up there in the corner. And they are both passionate and skilled in what they're offering and what their platform offers. And it was their expertise and passion that really drew us towards partnering with them in this project. And Holly's personal mission is to really help others leverage the power of mentoring to reach their fullest potential. And I guess as someone who signed up to be a mentor earlier in this program, one of the things I love about their platform is that they have these super personalized little nudges that come into my email box all the time to remind me about what I can do to continue to grow as a mentor and to continue to contribute, I guess, to the conversations of the people that I'm learning with as well. So Holly, I reckon it's over to you. And let's get these.
Thank you so much, Lisa Jane.
No worries.
Hi, everyone. Great to have you on here this afternoon. And I am dialing in from Brizzy. We love South Australia. We love Adelaide. We'll be down there in a couple of weeks. So if anyone wants to say hello, we'll be around. And Lisa Jane and Rod, it'd be great to see you while we're down there. But I'm here on the Meanjin land of the Turrbal people. And as Lisa Jane mentioned, this session is really for you to make sure that you are clear on what you're signing up for, what this program involves, and importantly, how you can get the most from it. So this is the first step, signing up and turning up to this launch webinar today. And I'm just going to start sharing my screen, as I do have a few slides that we'll walk through today. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to put those into the chat, and Freddie can either respond to those, or I'll respond at the end of the session. So Brancher is the name of the system, which hopefully you've signed up to. If you haven't yet signed up, maybe we can put a link to the sign up link in the chat, and you can complete that after today's session. Brancher, the name, if you're wondering, means to connect in French. And that's what we're all about, creating these powerful human mentoring connections. So we leverage the latest psychology, science, and technology to make mentoring relationships really meaningful and to support both the mentee and the mentor. So today we'll be walking through the benefits of mentoring. We'll talk through the timeline and key principles about this program. And I'll also do a demo of the system so that you understand exactly how to use it, including calling out key resources and talking through the next steps. So firstly, the benefits. You're all here today, so that means hopefully you're clear on what some of the benefits are. Lisa Jane already mentioned how in demand mentoring is for early career educators. And that's because the benefits are really strong. So mentees are likely to have increased confidence, capability, skills, resilience, decreased stress and burnout. And you can see there's also some numbers here on this screen around promotion and pay. Mentors actually get a number of benefits out of participating too. So all the mentors on the call, you'll be asked to look in the mirror, reflect on your own career story, what got you to where you are today, reflecting on those pivotal fork in the road moments. And you will be having the opportunity to complete some mentoring e-learning. So some of you I know will have mentored many times before, and that's great. But regardless of whether you've mentored or not before, we'd encourage you to complete the e-learning modules because they'll support you to further build out your mentoring skills. Learning about the basics like confidentiality, conflicts of interest, boundaries, but also those more advanced mentoring skills like how and when you can coach and be directive and provide support and encouragement, different feedback models. So a lot of these skills will be really transferable back to your everyday day jobs in education as well. So what are we actually talking about when we talk about mentoring? It's, as Lisa Jane said, a two-way developmental relationship. So it's founded on mutual respect, non-judgment, and openness and willingness to learn, confidentiality, trust, rapport, and continuous growth and feedback. At its simplest level, a mentor is the person who's giving the help. A mentee is the person who's receiving that help. However, both people will really be learning in the relationship, and that's why it's two-way. So for all the mentors on the line, we will be asking you to adapt your mentoring style based on the situation. So we all have a default style and personality where when we're under stress, those natural traits tend to come out. But the best kind of mentors will actually really listen to the needs of their mentee and what's going on for them in that moment, and adapt their mentoring style to either be more directive or provide more support or give them a confidence boost or challenge them and give them feedback depending on where they're at. Mentees will be the people who are receiving their help. And the number one principle that we really encourage for all the mentees is to be proactive in driving the relationship. What mentoring is not is therapy or a recruitment agency. And when we say it's not therapy, we mean we don't train our mentors in mental health and financial health issues. And so for all the mentors on the line, you'll be encouraged to actually draw that healthy line in the sand and refer your mentee on to another professional who is able to support them if a mental health or financial health topic was to come up. When we say that it's not a recruitment agency, so for all the mentees who are signing up, they're signing up to improve their professional development and skills and seek support, ideally so that we can support them to progress in various education roles and stay in education. But we don't expect the mentors to be helping them to find a new job. That's not a core role. And so that's not an expectation of this relationship. In terms of what the difference is between mentoring, coaching, and sponsorship, because often we're asked, well, what's the difference? And I'm sure you'll all have your different models and definitions which are used in your different schools. But we define mentoring, that's what this program's all about, as mentor, they tend to share advice, and it does tend to be more directive. So that's where a lot of your relationships will start, is in this mentoring space. But if you complete our e-learning modules, you will learn a coaching framework, and that coaching framework will encourage you to ask questions. So you can ask more questions, and it tends to be more reflective. And then sometimes the mentoring relationships will naturally evolve into a sponsorship relationship. A sponsor, the key word is advocacy. So a sponsor advocates for others, tends to be a door opener. So we're not expecting that all of these mentoring relationships will go through this model and end up in sponsorship relationships, but this is just to give you an idea as to where some relationships may evolve to. So mentoring, that's the core focus. That's where we're all starting. Ideally, some of you will dip into that coaching space, asking those challenging questions. And some relationships will naturally evolve into a sponsorship model. But for the mentees on the line, you can't expect that. Basically, if you have really strong rapport and trust, then naturally some relationships may organically evolve into that space. So what about the program and who can sign up? So I won't read through the eligibility here on the screen because it is up on the Mentor Ed website. And if you've all signed up, hopefully you've read through this. But the key takeaways are mentees who have signed up have been encouraged from all different areas of education. So when we first went out, we said, you need to be in maths and science. Now, actually, it's across all different learning areas, and they just need to be a graduate or early career educator. For mentors, you can also be at any career level and any kind of teaching area. And we have a matching algorithm on the platform that takes into account things like your goals, your skills, what area of education you're in, and for mentees, what area of education they want to learn more about, your location, your personality, your values, and all of those things are fuel to recommend ideal mentee-mentor matches. So when I show you the platform in a minute, that is how the matching is done. In terms of the time commitment, it's 1 hour per month to meet, and then 1 additional hour to do some prep, follow-up, or the e-learning. So that is a flexible time commitment in terms of if some pairs negotiate and they want to meet for 2 hours that month, that's fine. But in general, you should be keeping up to that 1 hour a month rhythm. And in terms of the duration, unlike traditional mentoring programs where they say you're in a program for 6 months, we're giving you flexibility to decide when you want to wrap it up. And that's because you're the best person to know, both of you, the mentee and the mentor, as to when you should wrap it up. You know, some people just want to mentor for 2 months. Other people want to mentor for 6 months. Some people want to mentor for 12 months. But really, everyone's different. And so with our system, you will have the opportunity to enter into a relationship, and then we will be encouraging you to wrap it up when you're ready. And so that means when the relationship starts to fade in terms of you're meeting less frequently than once a month, maybe you're only meeting once every couple of months, once every 3 months, that's a good indicator that maybe it's time to wrap up the formal relationship to outside of the system. And you might decide that, you know, if you're a mentor, you might say, you can still contact me when you want to every few months. Call me up when you have a particular burning problem that you want to discuss. Some other mentors might say, oh, actually, I'm taking on another mentee right now, so we do need to formally wrap up this relationship. And so there's an e-learning module on the Brancher system, how to wrap it up, how to have that conversation. There's talk tracks there. So you're fully supported in terms of how to have that conversation, but the key principle is have that conversation. The one thing we really want to avoid is mentors waking up one day and thinking, God, whatever happened to Leanne? I never heard from her again. You know, she used to be a great mentee, but I haven't heard from her in months. What happened? She just ghosted me. So we don't want that to happen. We want that nice professional closure conversation to celebrate success, talk about the wins, what we achieved, hopefully help the mentee to come up with a couple of additional goals they can continue working on beyond the relationship, and to wrap it up, because that means that Leanne's mentor will then be freed up to go and mentor someone else. And Leanne, in this example, as a mentee, would then be able to go on and find another mentor if she wanted to, or have a bit of a break. Sorry for Leanne for picking on you there, but your name was front and center. So in terms of the key principles for this mentoring program, firstly, the mentee drives the relationship. I've already mentioned that's the number one principle we really emphasize. The biggest thing that mentors are frustrated with is mentees not showing up, not coming prepared, not driving the relationship. So for all the mentees listening, please be the one to really drive the relationship. You're in the driver's seat with your own development. For all the mentors, please action requests quickly. So you'll be able to receive mentoring requests. You'll get an email from the Brancher system telling you that you have a mentoring request. The last thing we want is for it to be sitting there for weeks on end. It actually expires after 21 days. So if you don't action it within the 21 days, it will automatically be declined. So please go in and accept that request when you receive it so that you can kick off your relationship. We'll also be encouraging you to complete your mentoring agreement. So I'll demo this in the system shortly. And that is designed to put everything on the table, ensure there's clear expectations, and that you both know what to expect from each other. There is also a code of conduct that is displayed to you when you first sign up within the Brancher Mentoring Guide that asks you to adhere to professional behaviours and also respect things like confidentiality. We also encourage you to make the most of the platform being the Brancher system. So yes, it will help you to match, but it will also, as Lisa Jane mentioned, support you throughout your mentoring relationship. So we have the e-learning, there's a goal setting module there, and there's the ability to set up your meetings in the platform. And when you do that, there's some smart scheduling functionality and some conversation starters and action tracking. So there's a whole heap of tools there to really support you throughout. You can be both a mentee and a mentor. So eventually some of our mentees who are in this year's cohort may go on to be mentors in future years. And so it'll be great for all the mentees on the line if you can kind of have that in the back of your mind. Yes, you know, if you're signing up as a mentee, this is for you and your development and your growth. But down the track, you may want to consider signing up as a mentor and giving back to others as well. If you're wondering, how long should this relationship go for? You know, you're being very ambiguous, Holly, telling us we can just wrap it up when we're ready. The sweet spot is 4 to 6 months. So that's a good goal to aim for. And so after that 4 to 6 month mark, that's generally a good time to check in with each other, have that chat. Is it still working for both of us? Are you still getting value? You know, and have that conversation about how much longer you might want to continue for. And we do have that flexible approach. So yes, I've mentioned it's 1 hour a month, and sometimes you might want to do an additional hour if you want to. So we try to provide as much structure as is beneficial, but we still want to provide that flexibility because we know you're all busy, you all have your different time frames. Some people go on leave at different times, and the school holidays, there's all the rest of it. So that once a month guideline is designed to be beneficial and take, I suppose, the flexibility that comes with that, as long as it works for you both. This principle down here is that it might be a while until you find your match. So we have had, when I looked earlier, Rod, I think it was like 40, what are the numbers, you know, 40 mentees and another 30 mentors. Is that about right?
A bit more of both, Holly. I think it's about 46 mentees at the moment. Yeah, and just under 40 mentors.
Amazing. That's wonderful. So we actually have a really good balance there of mentees and mentors, which is great. But sometimes there may be mentors who sign up who don't get a request straight away. If that happens, it is nothing to do with you. It is to do with the mentees who have signed up, them not being the best fit for you, as in they're not in your learning area, basically. So thank you for signing up. This is designed to be a continuous, ongoing program, and bear with us. I suppose I ask for your patience while we find a mentee who could be a good fit for you. We're only ever going to create relationships where there's evidence to show that it will be a really strong match. So you can have confidence that when you are eventually in a relationship, it's going to be really beneficial for both parties. At the end of each meeting, we encourage you to end with clear actions in mind. So that means we want this relationship to be more than just a nice coffee catch up. Ideally, it's a relationship where you're working towards some really tangible goals. And so the mentees that have signed up, you know, you might not know exactly what you want to get out of this relationship. That's okay, that's normal. But please do the work between meetings, reflecting on your own development, your strengths, your values, your career goals, so that you can come with some clear focus to those mentoring conversations. And for both parties, you can keep your profile and capacity up to date on the system. So if you need to dial up or down your capacity in terms of how much you can participate, how many people you can take on, you can do that through the system. And finally, that principle, wrap it up. It's a good thing. So can't emphasize this enough. It can feel a bit strange wrapping up mentoring relationships, but it's actually a really good thing. So we really want to normalize that up front, that every relationship will end at some point, and it's a really good thing when it does, because it means the mentee has achieved their goals and the mentor is freed up to go and mentor someone else. I'm now going to talk through some of the key principles around confidentiality, conflicts of interest, and managing boundaries, all really important things when it comes to mentoring. Firstly, confidentiality. As a general principle, all information shared between you should be kept confidential. This helps to ensure trust and that you can both be open and honest with each other. There are 3 exceptions to this. Firstly, if the other person is engaging in illegal activities or serious misconduct. Second, if there's a risk to life or lives of others. And third, if you do need support from your mentoring lead. So Rod is the mentoring lead at Educators SA. The Brancher team are also available to assist. So if you do ever need to seek support, you can do that and reach out to us. And as a general principle, please just keep everything confidential. And that's not just for the mentors, it's actually for the mentees as well. So mentees, if your mentor tells you something personal about them and their career, they don't want you then going to talk in the school lunchroom to your other colleagues about what happened to them. You know, this is a two-way confidential relationship. And I'm sure with a line of work that you're all in, you're all very across confidentiality. So we can respect that here. Conflicts of interest. Again, I think most people will be clear on what a conflict of interest is, but just to clarify, conflict of interest by definition is where there is a conflict between two parties. And an example of one would be a mentee is talking to their mentor about their challenging principal. The principal is really challenging to work for. They're really quite difficult. And the mentor says, "Oh, I'm actually really good friends with your principal. I was at a barbecue with them last weekend, actually hang out with them all the time." That's a conflict of interest because there's two different types of relationships occurring there. So if a conflict occurs, the first step is to disclose that conflict. And that's something as simple as saying, "Hey, Brett, actually, I know your principal, so I just wanted to let you know that before this conversation goes any further." The second step is to have an open conversation about confidentiality. And so in this example, I might say, "Brett, I'm comfortable for you to continue talking about your principal, but just letting you know, it might get to a point where I no longer feel comfortable. Is there someone else that you could talk to if we get to that point?" Or they might say, "Actually, can we please park that entirely? Who else can you speak to? Because this isn't something that I'm comfortable talking about." Conflicts of interest is not black and white. It's a very gray area, which is why the first step is always just disclosure. And you'll often find that as soon as you disclose and you start talking about it, you can actually both come up with a solution around how you deal with it. Normally, it involves talking about confidentiality and how you'll manage it, how you'll respect that. And again, if you need to, you can reach out for further support. The third principle is just around managing boundaries. So we manage boundaries by getting you to both complete this mentoring agreement. There's a number of questions in here which seem simple, but are actually really important. And please complete it because it helps to alleviate about 90 to 95% of issues that occur in mentoring relationships. If you ever have a personal issue in your relationship, first step is to refer back to the agreement. Because again, 90 to 95% of the time, it can be actually solved by just re-clarifying expectations, what you expect of each other. So this Venn diagram here, on the left side of this diagram is what is okay. On the right side of the diagram is what is not okay. So it is okay for mentees to talk about their personal life because first meeting that you have, you'll probably be talking about your personal interest, your personal life, who you are. You need to talk about things other than work in order to build strong rapport and trust. And often our personal life actually impacts our professional life as well. So work-life balance, topics like that will come up. That's all perfectly normal. But we want, I suppose, the professional topics of conversation to be the majority. So it's okay to talk about personal life, that's great, but the majority of the conversation should be some kind of professional one. It's also okay to talk about career conversations. So mentees, if you're looking for someone who you can be completely open and honest with, who's not your immediate manager and is not your principal, someone far removed, this is the perfect opportunity for that. That's actually something that mentees really love talking about with their mentor is their career. It is okay to get assistance with soft and technical skills. The mentor, or the mentors on the line, please just have in mind what your area of competence is, and similar to boundaries and managing that line in the sand, it's up to you to declare and manage where your competence lies. So if a mentee is asking you for advice on something you don't know the answer to, it's fine to say that that's not your area of expertise. You can consider potentially referring them on to someone else who you do know in your network who might be able to assist, or you could encourage that mentee to actually go on and find another mentor and search for those skills on the brancher system. You can talk about work-life balance, and the mentee can share work to get feedback, but the big caveat there again is around confidentiality, and you will all know what is appropriate and not appropriate to share. So have that in mind, again, within reason. If you're in the same location, maybe you could arrange a time for a mentor to go potentially and observe and watch something, or for a mentee to actually share a particular piece of work that you're working on. But please, obviously, you need to respect what is okay within your school guidelines and principles in terms of what's okay to share. What would not be okay is the mentee asking their mentor to do any work for them, or for it to turn into a venting session. So, venting sessions are normal, but redirect the conversation back to the original focus. And please hold each other to account with that, because again, it can be easy in a mentoring conversation to have a nice chat, but redirect back to the original focus and topic to make sure it's more than just a vent. What's not okay, again, on that right-hand side is expecting a new job or introduction. Mentees, please don't come with that as an expectation, because it's not a part of this program. And I've spoken about the mental health and the financial health assistance. So mentors will be available to provide support, but if it turns into a mental health or financial health topic, they will be referring on. And we do have a list of resources available in the system where you can refer mentees on for additional support, as well as encouraging them to seek support through their school channels. Final point there is just under and over communicating. So most of the relationship issues where people refer back to the mentoring agreement, it's due to a misalignment in expectations around communication. So mentors may get frustrated that mentees, haven't reached out in a couple of months, they haven't heard from them, or they don't hear from them before the meeting about what they want to talk about, or potentially they're over communicating, like the mentee might be calling the mentor after hours at 8 p.m. at night or on the weekend. So in that mentoring agreement, it will ask you those questions like, who's going to set up the meetings? How are you going to stay in touch between meetings? How much contact is too much? What are your boundaries? Can a mentee call you after hours? Is that appropriate? What happens if they have a crisis? So I'd encourage you to have all those topics of conversation up front as early as possible in your first or second meeting to ensure that you both have clear expectations of each other. So now on to some of the lighter principles around how you can be a great mentee. So mentees on the line, I've spoken about how important it is to drive the relationship, organizing the meetings and the agendas, also being respectful of your mentor's time and advice. So for all the mentors on the line, thank you so much. Mentors are not getting paid for this. It is a completely voluntary role. So please be respectful of your mentor's time and advice and engage openly. So let down your wall as soon as possible. I know it's hard because you're meeting someone for the first time, but let down that wall, be open about your challenges. The more open you are, the more your mentor will be able to support you. And arrive with focus. So phones away, laptops down. Don't be looking at emails or text messages that are coming through. Try and put yourself in a reasonably quiet space so that you can really focus and make the most of the time you have together. And establish and track your goals. We want it to be more than just a nice coffee. We'd like you to really focus on some professional development goals. And that means doing the work and the reflection between meetings. So the e-learning modules will ask you questions to reflect between meetings. There's actually a goal setting module in there. So it encourages you to actually write down those goals, because when we write down our goals, we're 46% more likely to achieve them. And when we share them with someone else, i.e. our mentor, that doubles again. So write down the goals, you'll be more likely to achieve them. You're only going to be benefiting yourself by doing that. And take a growth mindset and be open to feedback. So you're all educators, you teach growth mindset to kids at school, but often, we can teach things and then we don't really practice what we preach sometimes. So come into the mentoring relationships with that growth mindset, believing that you can, your abilities can learn, develop, you can change, and as much as possible, be open to that feedback and ask for that feedback from your mentor. And finally, be authentic and grateful. For all the mentors, you will be a coach and a director and wearing many different hats. So the e-learning module, Situational Mentorship, is a great one, which teaches you core mentoring styles and not only what they are, but how you can apply them to different situations. At times, it'll be appropriate for you to boost encouragement and confidence. At other times, it'll be appropriate to provide feedback. Probably not if the mentee, it's their first session with you, because you want to build that rapport and trust. But after you've got that and the mentee, has done something a couple of times, that's the perfect place for feedback. Try and keep the relationship and conversations on track. So particularly if a mentee has shared a goal with you, can you hold them to account with that goal? It's all good if the goal needs to change, but if it needs to change, then write it down, update it, so that you're both holding yourself to account. And so that at the end of the mentoring relationship, you can say, yep, these goals were achieved. That mirror is there because, as I mentioned, you will be looking into the mirror metaphorically and sharing your career story and reflecting on those pivotal career moments and forks in the road. So you will be learning more about yourself in this relationship as well. Some relationships may turn into a friend and a confidant relationship. That's wonderful. Some of them may turn into networking style relationships. So a mentor introducing your mentee. I've said very clearly how that's not an expectation of this program, but I am just letting you know that if you would like to do that as a mentor, if you're comfortable, then feel free. You will also be a role model, so please have that in mind at all times and think about your behaviour, not just during the meeting, but at all times whilst you're interacting with your mentee. You don't always have to have all of the answers. Actually, being a good listener is a really good part of a mentoring relationship. And I just wrapped up a program last week. Actually, we were reading through all the survey results, and the most common thing that the mentors were writing that they learned from the program was how to be a better listener. And I don't always have to have all the answers. So that's definitely a key learning that tends to come through. And finally, make sure you celebrate success, not just at the end of the program, but celebrating the small wins throughout. Because we can all get wrapped up in the day-to-day and become task-focused and achievement-orientated, but make sure that you take a moment to recognize the small wins along the way. Okay, I'm now going to do a quick platform demo, and then we'll wrap up with any questions and next steps. So when you first log into the Brancher system, you'll be asked to do a few different onboarding steps over here on the right-hand side. You can see I, in this instance, need to send a mentoring request and connect my calendar. Connect calendar is the key one I really want to call out here. You can connect your Outlook, provided that will work with your work email address, or you can connect your Google Calendar if you're a Gmail user. I'd encourage you to do that because then your mentoring partner will be able to see when you are free and busy, and they'll be able to book into your calendar. It will then push to your calendar as well as being stored in the Brancher system. And when you set up a mentoring meeting and schedule a meeting, provided that you have integrated your calendar, which I'm just going to do now, you will be able to see the scheduling view and when, so my mentor is actually ironically Holly in this instance. I can see when Holly is busy. I can see when she's free. I can then click on a gap in the calendar to schedule and set up our meeting. And you can see here all of the suggested conversation topics. So if you set up a meeting in Outlook as a mentee, it's up to you to figure out what you need to talk about and what your agenda is. But if you do it in the Brancher system, you can click this drop down and say, oh, I'd like to have a career chat. And the talking points and your agenda is already here. And it gets shared with your mentor. You can then track these action points and make sure that you're actually talking about them in your meeting. You can add additional talking points, and you'll get a reminder before the meeting, 2 days beforehand, saying, hey, Anthony, your mentoring meeting's coming up in a couple of days. Here's what you said you wanted to talk about. It'll be shared with your mentor. Do you have anything else to discuss? And then after the meeting, you'll have the opportunity to track your actions as well. So I'd encourage you to use this software so that you can actually have support, making sure those conversations are really targeted. And now for the exciting part, which I'm sure you're all itching to find out about, how do you actually choose a mentor and get into a relationship? So the cohort page is where you can go to find a mentor. And again, the first time you're logging in, it will actually have a big button on your dashboard saying, do you want to find a mentor? And if you're a mentee, it will say find a mentor. And when you click that button, there's some instructions at the top about how our algorithm works. And then scrolling down, you can see the top recommended mentors. So I can see in this instance, Sam, Sally, and Richard, who are the top 3 that are recommended to me. And this is based on things like skills, goals, your area of expertise, your learning area, your career stage, your location. You can click on their profile and you can see some information about them. You can also click why we think you're a good pair. And this will show you the specifics around why you've actually been recommended as a good match. So in this instance, we're a good match on these skills and these career goals, this location and mentoring style. With a click of a button, you can request that mentor and you can write a custom introductory message here. Mentors will then receive an email letting them know they've got a mentoring request and they'll be prompted to accept that request. As soon as it's accepted, you'll both be introduced to each other and your relationship will be kicked off. For all the mentors on the line, you can actually also request mentees. So you'll be able to see this screen, but in reverse, you'll be able to see all the mentees. We will be encouraging all the mentees to request their mentors. That's generally how those relationships will get kicked off. But if you're a mentor and you're super keen and you want to request someone, you can absolutely go in there and do that as well. And the big thing is we will be matching people into a recommended relationship in a few weeks' time if we see that you're not paired up. So we'll be giving you until the end of August to go in, request a mentor, get into a relationship. But come September, if we see you're still not in a relationship, we want to really kickstart everyone in this cohort. So we will be pairing people based on who will be a good fit. So you will be kind of pushed into a relationship early September. So if you're keen to choose someone in particular, come in, do it yourself. You can scroll down. You can see everyone else who's in order of compatibility. You can see at the very bottom who's booked out. And if you have a particular mentor in mind, you can actually search for them by their name as well. Or if they're not here in the system, encourage them to sign up. Send them the sign up link and tell them to sign up as a mentor, and then you'll be able to request them here. If anyone has any questions in terms of how to use the system at any time, you can send a support request through to us. That little button down the bottom there allows you to send that support request. And you can see there's a whole heap of other functionality in the system. I won't walk through it all today, but you can see there's support here to set up your goals. There's tasks and actions. There's a heap of resources, and there's the e-learning and notes as well. So final points for today, just in terms of the next steps. If you haven't already done so, please sign up, complete your profile. Mentees, the mentors are all available there. Actually, not all of them, but we'll be approving some more mentors in the next few days. Thanks to all the mentors that are on this call, we'll now be able to approve you into the system and some others as well. Mentors review your requests, and then, as I mentioned, in September, we will start matching people who are not yet in a relationship. So if you're someone who likes choice and you want to choose who you'll be in a relationship with, get in and do that in the system in the next couple of weeks. Any questions?
I was just going to
Well-
ask, I was trying to think, have I gone into Brancher already and I've got a profile? So how does that work? Do we get a link sent to us, or I'm already in there?
We can have a look and see whether you're in there, and maybe
Pretty sure you're already in there when I looked about.
I thought I was already in there, and I actually just tried to while I was talking, and I thought, it's not sending me the link to say that I forgot my password, but that's okay. I'll work it out.
So this is the login page. I just put the URL in there. And maybe Freddie, if you can just email, sorry, is it Base? Is that how you say your name?
Yeah.
Bayes, if you can just email Bayes the email address that she used to sign up, just to make sure that it's the correct email, because sometimes we have multiple emails, don't we? So we'll just let you know which one you used to originally sign up.
My first name's Jen. That's my surname, Bayes. I don't know why it
Jen,
does it ran the
okay.
other way around.
Just emailing you now, Jen. Give me a second.
Thank you.
And Jen and everyone else too, if for any reason you've got a problem and you're not sure how to get in touch with Brancher, feel free to send me an email and I'll make sure it happens.
Sure.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say thank you for, thank you for the time you've taken just to run through all of that tonight. I did get onto Brancher yesterday, had a look. I was really amazed actually at all the modules there. So I'm kind of looking forward now just to finding the time to start working through that. And I was also, amazed at Rod's email straight away. I'm like, wow, people actually, I don't know. It was just great communication. So great job. I think this is a really good program and it's my first time. So I'm quite excited to be part of this. So thank you for all the support. Feels very good.
Thank you for participating. We're really excited to have you in the program, and I think it's definitely a core need, isn't it? We've heard it loud and clear across the sector, so it's amazing to be kicking this off, and we're really excited to be creating those connections across the state, across the sector. You know, it's not every day that you have the opportunity to be connected with someone who will hopefully be a really good fit for you, but is potentially at another school, and you would have never even formed that connection if it wasn't for our system putting you together. So it'll be amazing to see all these mentoring relationships kicking off, and hopefully we can support you right throughout that relationship as well. But yes, there are real people. There's myself and my amazing team at Brancher here to support you, and then Rod and Lisa Jane at Educators SA who have done an incredible job getting this up and running and spreading the word out there to ensure that all of you can sign up and be here today. So yes, there's real people beyond the tech system, which is just an enabler and a support, really. Oh, Rod, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'll turn off the mute. I'll do that every time. Holly's put the contact details in the chat as well, both the website but also the general email you can use.
Wonderful. Any other questions? Anything anyone's feeling nervous about or a bit unsure about? No, all good. Anthony, thank you for dialing in. I love, as Lisa Jane said, it's always great to see people in their cars. I hope it's been safe and hands-free, and thank you for dialing in despite being in the car. Great to have you.
Yeah, no, that's right. Sorry, I was in the car. The car was at the mechanic today, and I said I need it at 3:30, and then they weren't ready, so I waited, and now I'm on my way to school pickup still. Anyway.
That's not a problem.
No worries.
My sense the trickiest bit is to get started, like the first time, and after that it's pretty easy. So it's just a matter of working your way until you've got your pairs and have got started, and then I think it all flows from there. But as I said, if you've got any problems connecting up initially, or you're just not sure what to do, just send Branch an email, Holly and Freddie an email, or come straight to me.
Yeah, no, this call's been a good impetus to do it. I know I looked into it a little while back and maybe didn't act on it. So I need to do that. And I will do after this one once I get home tonight.
Fantastic, Anthony. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Cool. All right. Well, our email address is there in the chat, hello@brancher.com.au. You all have Rod's contact details as well. So feel free to reach out if you do have any further questions. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending and being a part of this great program. And we're looking forward to seeing all these relationships kick off soon and supporting you throughout your mentoring relationships.
And thanks to you, Holly, too, and to Freddie. It was great to hear Leanne noticing that the people behind this are actually committed and making sure the communication's strong. So thanks again for your time tonight. And we'll look forward to connecting with everyone else in our Mentor Ed community in the coming months.
That's good.
Thanks
For coming, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.